The dark ceremony, the alien arena, was alive with noise. A sea of glowing eyes and sharp voices. Every seat filled with creatures from across the stars. They had come to witness blood, not just any blood, but the blood of humans. At the center of the wide stone floor stood a woman, her hands bound with cold iron, her clothes torn and dusty. Beside her, clinging to her leg, was her small child. The boy could barely stand without trembling, yet his wide eyes searched the crowd with fear. The aliens shouted louder, mocking, pointing, laughing at the sight of a fragile mother and child being offered to their war beast. The war beast was no ordinary creature. It was a mountain of flesh and bone, chained behind heavy gates that rattled whenever it moved. Its roar was said to echo through space itself. Entire armies had fallen before it. Its claws had shredded steel like paper, and now, tonight, this human mother and child were to be sacrificed in its honor. The aliens believed this spectacle would prove once again that humans were weak, powerless, and unworthy of survival. The mother, though her body trembled, held her child close to her chest. She whispered softly into his ear, telling him to stay brave. Her voice was steady, though. Her heart thundered inside. She knew no one was coming to save them. She had seen what happened to the last human dragged into this arena. Nothing but screams and silence after, yet still, she refused to let her child feel fear alone. The gates creaked, heavy chains pulled by alien guards who struggled with the weight. The crowd began to chant in their strange guttural language, calling the beast's name, calling for death. The air grew heavy, and dust swirled around the floor. The child hid his face against his mother. The mother gritted her teeth and stared straight at the rising gates. She would not cry, not here, not before them. Then the sound came, a deep growl that rolled like thunder across the arena. The beast stepped forward, its shadow stretching over the sand, its eyes burned with a fire not natural, jaws dripping with saliva, claws carving the ground as it walked. The aliens cheered wildly, stamping their feet. The mother felt her knees weaken, but she forced herself to stand tall. She wrapped both arms around her child and whispered again, "No matter what, I will protect you." The crowd expected panic. They expected the human to scream, to run, to beg, but she did not. She stood still, like a stone before a storm, her eyes locked on the monster that could end her in a breath. The beast raised its head, sniffing the air, then let out a roar so loud the walls of the arena cracked. The sound made even seasoned warriors flinch. The child whimpered, clutching his mother tighter. The mother pressed her lips to his forehead, her eyes never leaving the beast. It stepped closer, closer, until the ground shook with every stride. Chains dragged behind it like thunder. The mother's heart beat faster, yet her face showed only defiance. She refused to give the aliens the satisfaction of her terror. The child peeked out from her arms, his small, innocent gaze meeting the glowing eyes of the war beast. Something shifted. A hush spread through the arena. The beast, instead of striking, stopped. It lowered its massive head, tilting as if curious. Its hot breath washed over the mother and child, dust rising around them. The child blinked, his fear slowing. He stared directly into the beast's eyes, and for one moment, the beast stared back, silent. The aliens grew restless. They shouted louder, beating drums, urging the beast to attack. The priests raised their staffs, their chants filling the air, demanding blood. Yet the beast did not move. It simply stood, its head lowered, its growl softer now, almost like a deep hum. The mother felt her arms tighten around her child. She did not understand what was happening, but she sensed it. This was no normal reaction. The crowd began to hiss and shout in anger, their voices clashing like waves of thunder. Some demanded the beast be whipped. Others demanded the mother be pushed closer. Soldiers stepped forward, raising their weapons, their orders clear. If the beast would not kill, then they would. The mother finally raised her voice, her words sharp, strong, echoing across the arena. "Cowards," she shouted. "You hide behind monsters. You sacrifice children. You call this strength. Her voice silenced some of the crowd. Even the soldiers hesitated. No one had ever dared speak back inside the blood arena. Her words carried through the dust, through the noise, and for the first time, the aliens saw something they had not expected. A human mother, standing with no fear before death. The war beast's growl deepened. A rumble that shook the sand. Its eyes narrowed at the soldiers. Its massive body shifting between the humans and the weapons. The crowd froze, a strange unease crawling through them. Something was wrong. Something they had never seen before was unfolding. And at the center of it all, the human mother whispered into her child's ear once more. "Hold on, something is changing." The galaxy did not yet know it, but this moment, the defiance of a mother, the hesitation of a beast, was the spark that would change everything. Asterisk, the beast hesitates. The alien arena that had moments ago shaken with thunderous chants now grew uncertain. The war beast had taken its steps, its claws dragging across stone. Yet instead of tearing the humans apart as expected, it stopped, lowering its head. The silence was so strange that even the alien drums faltered. The priests shouted angrily, raising their staffs to the sky. Their voices booming, "Strike, destroy, devour." But the beast did not move. Its massive nostrils flared as it breathed in the scent of the woman and the child. Its burning eyes softened for a fraction of a moment, and the crowd hissed in disbelief. The mother held her child tighter, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She did not understand why the monster had stopped. But she felt something heavy in the air, something far greater than fear. Her son, trembling in her arms, peeked again at the creature. The boy's innocent gaze locked onto the beast's molten eyes. And instead of rage, the beast blinked slowly. The Kumgu. Aliens roared in fury, stamping their feet, demanding blood. "Kill, kill," they cried, their voices sharp as knives. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons, ready to step in if the beast failed to act. But the monster only gave a low growl. A growl not of hunger, but of confusion. One elder alien, his skin cracked with age, leaned forward from his high seat. His many eyes glowed with suspicion. He hissed to those beside him, "This is not right." The beast has never hesitated before. No prey has ever stood this long. His voice carried weight, and the fear in it spread to others. The mother's knees shook. Yet she forced herself to raise her head. For the first time she felt the crowd's attention torn, not only on the beast, but on her. She whispered into her son's ear, "Stay strong, something is happening." Her voice carried courage, though inside she felt a storm of questions she could not answer. The war beast leaned closer, so close that its hot breath swept across the mother's face. Her hair whipped in the gust. She flinched but did not back away. The child stretched his small hand outward, barely lifting it before his mother tried to pull him back, but it was too late. The boy's tiny fingers reached forward, almost touching the rough hide of the creature. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Hisses filled the air. No one had ever dared to touch the beast, and no one had lived long enough to try. The priest screamed in rage, demanding the monster obey. Soldiers took steps forward, raising whips and spears. But before they could act, the beast gave a sound so deep it shook the ground. Not a roar of attack, but a sound like mourning. The ground quaked. Dust rose into the air. The boy's hand trembled just inches away, and the beast slowly lowered itself, lowering its entire massive frame, its head pressing against the sand before the humans. The arena froze in stunned silence. Never had the war beast bowed before anyone. Never had it shown submission. The aliens broke into chaos, some screaming for the humans to be killed immediately, others crying that this was an omen, that the beast had chosen. The mother stood frozen, her eyes wide. She did not understand what power held this creature back. Yet she knew something had shifted, something dangerous for the aliens. The priests tried again, chanting louder, their staffs glowing with fire. They attempted to force the beast through ancient control, but the monster only snarled at them, snapping its jaws in defiance. Its loyalty, or something deeper, now pointed toward the humans. The guards rushed forward, their weapons gleaming, ready to strike down the woman and her son. The mother's heart thundered. She stepped in front of her child, raising her arms to shield him, though she knew her body was no armor. Yet as the blade swung down, the beast roared so violently the very walls cracked. The shockwave knocked guards from their feet. Spears shattered in the air. The boy clung to his mother, his face buried in her side. The mother did not move, her eyes fixed on the giant creature that had just saved them. Her mind raced with one thought. Why us? Why a human mother and child? The answer she could not know, but she felt it in her bones. This was not chance. The crowd panicked. Some ran for the exits, others screamed curses. The elder alien struck his staff to the ground, declaring, "This is no beast. This is betrayal. The galaxy must know what has happened here." His words sealed the fate of all present. What had begun as a simple sacrifice was now the birth of a legend. The war beast bent lower, its massive body shifting to shield the humans from the guards. Its eyes burned not with hunger, but with warning. Any who came closer would face death, and in that moment, mother and child were no longer prey. They were under the protection of the most feared monster in the galaxy. The mother whispered to her son, her voice trembling yet strong, "We are not alone anymore." Her words carried into the silence, and though no alien understood her tongue, felt the meaning in their bones. The galaxy had expected death, but instead, it was witnessing something far more dangerous, the beginning of a bond no chains could break. Asterisk the mother's courage. The arena had turned into chaos. The war beast no longer obeyed its masters. Alien guards were thrown back, the priests screamed curses, and the crowd shouted in confusion. But in the middle of it all stood the human mother. Her arms wrapped tightly around her child, her eyes filled not with fear, but with a fierce fire. For so long, the aliens had mocked humans as weak, as fragile, as creatures who broke under pressure. But in that moment, the mother refused to bow. She had survived too much, lost too much, and now, when all the galaxy was watching, she would not give them her fear. The soldiers regrouped quickly, their weapons sparking with energy. They charged again, ready to cut down the woman and her child. The mother looked at the war beast standing before her, but then something stirred inside her. She realized she could not rely on anyone, not the beast, not fate, not luck. She had to protect her son herself. She stepped forward, placing herself between the soldiers and her child. Her hands raised, though she had no weapon. Her voice rang across the arena like thunder. "Enough," she cried. "You call yourselves strong, yet you hide behind a monster. You call yourselves warriors, yet you murder children." The words echoed, raw and sharp. The aliens froze for a moment, stunned that a human would dare speak so boldly. The crowd hissed and booed, but some fell silent. Her courage cut through their bloodlust like a blade. The war beast growled low, its massive head turning, as if watching her, studying her. It had crushed armies before, but never had it seen such defiance in something so small. The creature's burning eyes narrowed, and it stepped closer to her, not in threat, but in strange recognition. The child clung to her leg, whispering softly, "Mama, please don't." But she touched his head gently, whispering back, "I must. If I don't stand now, we will never stand again." Her words trembled, but her heart was steady. The priests raised their staffs again, fire crackling in the air. They shouted curses in their guttural tongue, promising that the human woman would be erased. Her memory burned from history. The crowd cheered at their words, but their voices no longer felt certain. A shadow of doubt was spreading. The mother looked up at the high seats, at the leaders and nobles who watched. She shouted again, "Is this your strength? To kill those who cannot fight back, to chain beasts and call it glory? You are cowards, and you know it." The crowd exploded in anger. Some threw objects, stones and shards, but she did not flinch. Her body stood firm, her child hidden behind her, her voice like iron. The war beast lowered itself once more, Its claws dug into the sand. A roar ripped from its chest, shaking the very bones of all who heard it. But strangely, the roar did not aim at the humans. It aimed at the soldiers and priests. It sounded almost protective. The guards charged again, this time in greater numbers, their blades flashing. The mother braced herself, her child crying out, but before the soldiers could reach them, the war beast slammed its massive paw into the ground. The impact sent a shockwave across the arena. Warriors were thrown like dolls, their weapons scattered into the dust. The mother did not step back, even as the ground split before her. Even as alien blood spilled into the sand, she stood like a pillar, unmoved. Her courage fed the fire in the beast's chest. It roared again, louder, its defiance now clear. The elder alien rose from his seat, his voice shaking as he cried, "This is forbidden. No beast can resist. No human can defy us. Kill them now." But the words no longer carried the same power. The crowd had seen too much. Whispers rippled among them. Whispers of prophecy, of legends, of something beyond control. The mother turned her head slightly, speaking not to the aliens, not to the crowd, but to the war beast itself, her voice calm but steady. "If you are truly more than their weapon, then stand with us. Prove to them you cannot be owned." The war beast's chest rumbled, its eyes blazing like suns. It shifted its body fully now. Standing beside her, towering above her, the image burned itself into the minds of all who saw it. A fragile human mother standing tall, a child clinging to her, and beside her, the deadliest creature in the galaxy. No longer master and pet, but all eyes. The crowd erupted again, some in panic, some in awe. But no one could deny what had just happened. The impossible had become real. The mother, though her voice was quiet, whispered once more to her child, "Do you see, my son? Even monsters can choose, and today, it chose us." And as the dust settled and the alien chants broke into chaos, the galaxy realized something it had never considered. True courage was not in claws or weapons, but in a mother's will to stand. The beast chooses. The arena was breaking apart. Under the weight of fear, what was meant to be a spectacle of human weakness had twisted into something unthinkable. The war beast, once the pride of alien power, no longer obeyed. It stood beside the fragile mother and her child as though they were its kin. The crowd of aliens howled, some with rage, some with terror. The soldiers did not wait. Their orders were clear: to strike the humans down and remind the galaxy of alien rule. Dozens of armored figures rushed forward, their blades sparking, their energy rifles glowing. They surrounded the humans, their snarls filling the air. The mother stood tall, her child clutching her leg, but before any weapon could strike, the ground shook. The war beast moved, fast as lightning for something its size. Its claws swept across the arena floor, lifting soldiers into the air like broken dolls. The sound of armor shattering echoed across the stone walls. Alien blood stained the sand. The priests shrieked from their podiums, waving their staffs and screaming spells of control. But the beast did not yield. The mother shielded her child's eyes from the carnage, yet she felt no fear for herself anymore. She felt something else, something wild and powerful, the sense that destiny itself was unfolding before her. She whispered into the boy's ear, "Stay close, we are not prey anymore." Her voice was steady. The soldiers regrouped, firing beams of light at the beast. The energy blasts exploded across its thick hide, scorching it, but not breaking it. The creature roared. The sound shook bones and rattled hearts, and with a furious leap, it crushed the gunners beneath its weight. Dust and smoke filled the air. The crowd panicked. Some tried to escape through the gates. Others shouted that the prophecy had come, that humans were chosen. The elder alien banged his staff, shouting for silence, but none listened. His words were drowned by fear. In the center of the storm, the war beast crouched low, curling its massive body around the mother and child, protecting them like a wall of living muscle and bone. The soldiers struck at its sides, But every strike was met with fury, every blade snapped, every spear shattered. The beast had chosen. The priests tried to force control one last time, their staffs glowing, chanting ancient commands. The beast's eyes flickered with pain. It snarled, its muscles quivering. But then the boy, with trembling courage, placed his tiny hand against its rough hide. The creature froze, its growl softened, and the fire in its eyes returned, stronger than before. The priests' control shattered like glass, their chants cut off in screams as their own staffs exploded in bursts of light. The arena filled with fire and smoke. The war beast stood tall again, no longer bound by chains of power, no longer bound by fear. The mother raised her head. Her eyes met the eyes of the creature, and though no words passed, she understood. Was no longer their executioner, it was their protector. The galaxy itself would have to face this truth. The soldiers fell back, terrified. Whispers spread through the arena like a tide. The beast has betrayed us. The beast has chosen humans. The words grew, repeated again and again, until the entire arena buzzed with panic. The elder alien, his face twisted in fury, shouted, "Then burn them all. Burn the woman, burn the child, burn the beast." His order sent waves of soldiers forward again. This time with flamethrowers and heavy cannons. The ground trembled. Under the weight of machines, the mother held her son tighter, whispering, "This may be the end, but we will face it together." Yet before the machines could strike, the beast roared, a roar that split the sky above. Cracks spread across the arena's walls, pillars collapsed, and in that chaos, the beast smashed through the lines of fire, its claws tearing steel apart, its teeth crushing engines. The flames roared. Explosions lit up the night sky, but through it all the beast carried the mother and child on its broad back, shielding them from every blast. The image was burned into the memory of all who witnessed it, a monster of nightmares defying its masters to save the weakest of humans. The priests tried to flee. The nobles screamed for ships. The crowd stampeded in madness, yet the mother and child remained untouched, wrapped in the protection of the beast's fury. When the dust began to settle, silence returned, broken only by the sound of fire crackling and the heavy breathing of the war beast. It lowered itself once again, its body scarred, but its eyes blazing brighter than ever. The mother stepped down slowly, her child in her arms. She touched the beast's muzzle with her hand, whispering, "You are not their weapon anymore, you are free." The beast growled softly, as if answering her, then lifted its head high and roared again, not to the humans, but to the galaxy itself, a roar of defiance, a roar of choice. And as the sound carried across the stars, the truth became undeniable. The beast had chosen humans over its masters, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The galaxy reacts. News of the impossible spread faster than light. The arena that was supposed to be a stage of humiliation for humans had instead become the birthplace of a legend. The war beast, the creature feared by entire fleets, had turned against its masters. It had chosen to shield a human mother and her child, and every witness carried the story back to their worlds. In the marketplaces of distant planets, holograms replayed shaky recordings of the event. Millions of aliens watched the moment the beast lowered itself before the humans, their eyes wide with disbelief. Some spat in anger, claiming the recordings were lies. Others whispered in awe, asking what kind of power humans carried that could bend monsters. In the council halls of great empires, leaders argued fiercely. Some demanded that humanity be exterminated before such defiance spread. Others insisted it was foolish to attack, that perhaps the beast's choice was not weakness, but prophecy. One warlord slammed his clawed fist onto the table and shouted, "If one beast can betray us for a human, what happens when others follow?" His words silenced even his fiercest rivals. On worlds where humans were slaves, hope began to stir. Whispers spread through the cages and the mines. "The beast chose them," they said. "The beast chose humans." For the first time in generations, slaves lifted their heads with pride, daring to believe that their chains could break. But not all reactions were hopeful. On some planets, alien mobs hunted down humans in fear, believing they carried dangerous magic. Soldiers marched through streets, rounding up human families, burning their shelters. The galaxy was divided. Half saw humans as chosen. Half saw them as a threat that must be destroyed before it was too late. The mother, unaware of the wave she had unleashed, traveled hidden in the ruins of the arena. The beast had carried her and her son far into the mountains, away from the Kedna winds of the arena. The beast had carried her and her son far into the mountains, away from the mountains, away from the mountains, away from the mountains. Burning city, she sat by a fire, holding her boy close, his small hands clutching her torn dress. She stared at the beast resting nearby, its body scarred, its eyes still burning with silent watchfulness. She whispered softly, "Why us? Why did you choose us?" Of course the creature gave no answer, but it lowered its massive head closer to the fire. As if to remind her that it would not leave, the boy, tired from tears, leaned against his mother and whispered, "Maybe it knows we are good." His innocent words brought tears to her eyes. She kissed his forehead and whispered back, "Maybe you are right." Far away, in the cold halls of the High Dominion, the elder alien who had overseen the sacrifice screamed in rage. His pride shattered. He demanded vengeance. He declared that the humans must be hunted down, the beast destroyed, and any who carried the story silenced. Fleets of warships began to prepare, yet in secret, other leaders hesitated. A council of shadowed figures gathered. One spoke softly. Perhaps this was no accident. Perhaps the humans awakened something we cannot control. Another replied, "If even the war beast bows to them, can we risk making them enemies?" The council fell into silence, for they knew the truth. The galaxy had changed, and they were powerless to undo it. On hidden channels, smugglers and rebels spoke of the mother and child as symbols. They called her the courage of chains and the boy, the innocent flame. Songs began to rise in the slums, telling of the day a human woman stood against the galaxy and lived. The beast, though it spoke no words, carried its message with its presence. In every world where the story spread, eyes turned toward the skies, fearing that one day more beasts would rise, no longer bound, no longer slaves but free. And that freedom would belong to humans. The mother understood little of this. All she knew was that every night she held her child close, and every night the beast stood guard, its glowing eyes scanning the horizon. Sometimes she wondered if she had been chosen, or if the beast itself had been waiting for a moment like this, waiting for someone to remind it that it was more than chains. The galaxy was restless. Armies moved, whispers spread, and destinies shifted. But one truth burned, brighter than any fire. The image of a fragile human mother and her child, standing beside the war beast, had become a flame no army could extinguish. And as the stars looked down upon them, the galaxy reacted with fear, with awe, with fury, but no one could deny it anymore. The humans were no longer forgotten. They were no longer weak. They were now the center of a storm that would shake every empire. The escape. The mountains trembled as the war beast moved through the darkness, its massive frame crashing through stone and earth. The mother clung tightly to her child. The boy pressed against her chest, his small arms wrapped around her neck. Behind them the arena burned, its towers broken, its soldiers scattered. But the hunt had only begun. The High Dominion had sent orders across the stars. Destroy the beast. Capture the humans. Erase the shame. Fleets rose from their hangars. Warships lit the skies. Soldiers armed with the deadliest weapons known to the galaxy prepared to strike. The mother and child were no longer just prisoners. They were fugitives, carrying a symbol of rebellion wherever they went. The beast stormed forward, its wounds glowing faintly from the weapons that had struck it. Yet its strength did not falter. It leapt across rivers, tore through forests, its breath steaming in the cold night air. The mother held on with all her might, whispering to her child, "Stay with me, do not look down." Her voice calm though her heart raced like fire. Above them, ships descended, their lights piercing the darkness. Alien voices shouted commands. Search beams swept across the ground. Cannons hummed as they charged. The mother looked up. Fear in her eyes, she whispered, "They will not stop." But the beast roared. A roar so loud it drowned out the engines, and in one mighty leap it launched itself onto a cliffside, stone shattering beneath its claws. The ships fired, but the beast's speed carried them out of reach. Explosions lit the mountains, fire rained down, trees burned, the air filled with smoke. The boy coughed, hiding his face against his mother. She shielded him with her torn dress, whispering, "Breathe slowly, I am here," her words steady. Even as the world collapsed around them, the beast did not slow. It crashed through barricades of alien soldiers, their weapons useless against its fury. With every swing of its claws, squads of warriors fell, their cries lost in the storm. Yet, still more ships came, still more soldiers swarmed. The sky filled with the glow of war. At last, they reached a canyon, deep and wide, the kind no creature should be able to cross. The mother's eyes widened in horror. "It cannot," she whispered. "It is too far." But the beast did not hesitate. It crouched low, its muscles coiling like a storm ready to strike. The mother clutched her child tightly, closing her eyes. And then the beast leapt. The air tore past them. The canyon stretched below, endless and black. The boy screamed. His mother held him tighter. And then with a thunderous crash, the beast landed on the far side. Stones shattered, dust rose. But they were alive. The mother opened her eyes, breathless, whispering, "It did it. We are still here." Behind them, the alien fleet roared in frustration, their ships unable to follow through the narrow canyon paths. Soldiers cursed. Commanders screamed orders. But the beast had slipped from their grasp. For a moment, silence returned. The stars shone above. The wind howled through the rocks. The mother leaned against the beast's neck, her body weak but her spirit burning. She whispered, "You are not only our protector, you are our escape." Her words carried gratitude, but also something else, a bond growing stronger with every step. Far above, spies sent transmissions across the galaxy. Stories spread of the escape, of the beast leaping canyons, tearing through armies, and carrying humans to safety. The myth grew larger than life. Some said the mother had whispered commands the beast obeyed. Others claimed the child's touch had freed it from chains of control. No matter the version, one truth remained: the beast had escaped, and the humans still lived. The galaxy trembled. Empires feared what would come next. Rebellions whispered louder. And every soldier wondered in the back of his mind, if the beast chose humans, what else will choose them? But for the mother, none of this mattered in that moment. She looked down at her child sleeping in her arms, his face calm despite the chaos. She pressed her lips to his forehead and whispered, "We are free for now, my son. Free because something greater than fear stood with us." The war beast lifted its head to the stars, its breath rising like smoke into the night. And then it roared, a sound that rolled across mountains, across valleys, across the sky itself. It was not a roar of anger this time, but a roar of defiance, of freedom. The galaxy heard it, the armies heard it, and in every corner of space, from the highest thrones to the lowest prisons, hearts shook. The mother, the child, and the beast had not only escaped, they had declared to the galaxy that chains could break, and when chains break, empires fall. The new legend across the galaxy. Stories traveled faster than fleets. What began as whispers in the shadows had become a storm that no empire could silence. In every corner of space, the tale was the same. A human mother and her child were offered as sacrifices. Yet the war beast, the monster that once crushed armies, had chosen to protect them. On slave worlds where humans were chained, hope grew like fire. Workers in the mines lifted their heads. Mothers told their children the story as they drifted to sleep. Fathers clenched their fists with pride. They whispered, "We are not forgotten. The beast chose us." Their voices passed through the cages until even the guards felt unease. In the halls of alien rulers, fear spread deeper than ever before. The High Dominion demanded war. They declared the beast a traitor and humanity a threat. Fleets were ordered to hunt across the stars, soldiers trained day and night, yet none could erase the image already burned into memory. The mother standing with defiance, the child reaching out, and the beast bowing before them. The mother herself did not see all this. She only knew the path before her. Each night she sat by the fire, her child resting against her, the beast standing guard like a wall of stone. She whispered to her boy, "We will keep moving. We will not be caught." Her voice soft but firm. She knew armies were coming. She knew the galaxy would not let them vanish quietly. But she also knew something else. Her courage had spread beyond herself. Her defiance was now a flame no one could put out. The beast had given her more than safety. It had given her a voice that echoed across worlds. One night, as stars stretched across the sky, the boy looked up at her and asked, "Mama, are we heroes?" She smiled sadly, brushing his hair with her fingers. "We are survivors, my son. Heroes are for stories." Yet deep in her heart she knew their survival had already become a story. And stories had more power than armies. The beast shifted, its glowing eyes fixed on the horizon, as if it could sense the fleets gathering, its body scarred but unbroken, its muscles coiled with strength. The mother looked at it, and for the first time she whispered words she had never dared. "You are not a monster, you are our kin now." The beast gave a low rumble, almost like agreement. Meanwhile, on distant worlds, songs began. Rebels sang of the mother of courage, of the child of flame, of the beast unchained. Statues were carved in secret caves, paintings spread in the black markets. The galaxy was falling in love with the very symbol the High Dominion wanted to erase. The rulers could not control the tide. Every attempt to destroy the story only made it grow stronger. Armies sent to capture the humans failed. Those who survived returned broken, whispering that the beast was unstoppable, that it was guided by fate itself. Some even swore the mother's voice commanded storms. Others believed the child's touch turned chains to dust. The myths grew wilder. But at the heart of them all was one truth. The humans had survived. The mother walked with her son through ruins, through forests, through the endless night of space, never knowing if the next sunrise would be their last. Yet everywhere she went, eyes watched, hidden allies offered food, strangers bowed their heads, rebels opened secret paths. The galaxy itself seemed to be carrying them forward. At last one night, standing on a cliff where the stars burned brighter than fire, the mother lifted her child onto the beast's back. She placed her hand against the creature's hide, and for the first time she felt not just fear or gratitude, but destiny. She whispered, "We are not running anymore. We are walking into legend." The beast raised its head. Its roar thundered into the heavens. The child laughed, clapping his hands, and the sound carried across the mountains like light. And far away, in cities, in prisons, in palaces, beings paused, for they felt it. The tremor of something new, the birth of a force they could not crush. The galaxy had expected to see a mother and child die forgotten in the sand. Instead it had witnessed the impossible, the strongest beast choosing to protect the weakest lives. That truth could never be undone, no matter what the Dominion tried, no matter how many fleets they sent, no matter how many lies they spread. The galaxy remembered one thing: a mother's courage, a child's innocence, a beast's choice. Together, they became the new legend that would haunt every empire and inspire every slave. And as the stars watched silently above, the galaxy knew this was not an ending, it was only the beginning.